Hey, I've been busy playing this game quite a bit, but I haven't really gotten to the point where I could actually, do a good guide. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to link to the Google document, which has way more information that I could possibly pack into a small, like 10-15 minute video. There was a lot of information there. A lot of the best builds have already been compiled there. What I will be doing is I'll be showing them off as I get to that point where I actually have them. As you can see, I'm close to having about half of the Matama in the game. I haven't even really done much in the story. I'm barely halfway through it. I've been playing a lot of the phases and stuff, which it seems like what a lot of people are doing is they're going through the phases, and a lot of that is just because it doesn't really have anything to do with liking or disliking the open world. It's more that it's really the only part of the game that you can play with other people. So people who are playing, with friends and stuff, or playing coordinated with each other, are all playing online. So a lot of people are getting really good stuff and then plowing through the story. Apparently you can change the difficulty once you finish the story, so I guess you can finish your hunting that way. So this is the build I'm using for my knives. Now this Matama is also really good for Naginata as well, but I don't have a good, decent endgame Naginata yet, so I'm kind of not using that weapon right now, despite what you're seeing in the videos that have been going up the past few days. Those are a couple days old. So with this one is kind of a little modification of one of the builds that's been going around on the Google document. So this one is not normally here. I forget which one is in this place, but this works pretty well. You get Devotion, which gives you a lot of attack, and then some extra abilities for your Carnage. And Musashi has Devastation, which is always good with a crit build. Extend the duration of Carnage. And this also is another Devastation. And it gives you quite a bit of focus back, so if you're playing with the knives, you get a ridiculous amount of focus back just for chaining stuff together. It works really well. Yoshiteru, the same way. He has Fervor, Luminescence, Accuracy, so once you have your Claw skill on, you'll be critting pretty often. And this also has Hero's Rally, and some extra damage as well. So if you want to see the knife I'm using, it's just a Petros one. See, my attack is 525, my dex is 75, so it's actually pretty decent, not the best. So one of the things you'll notice, I'm not sure why the game is structured this way, but if you try to make any halfway decent armor, you will need these Moans of Despair. And these are ridiculously hard to find. I went into the Discord, the PC section of the Discord, and we played for like maybe an hour or two, maybe even longer than that, and not a single one of these dropped. You need these for pretty much any halfway decent armor, anything in like the rank 5 or higher. Now I didn't know how to get these. Apparently if you finish the ruins, the 10 level one or the 10 demon one, you will get these as a drop. So it's actually a good idea to go there anyway, because you can get a lot of Matama very easily that way. So if you want to get both Matama and these Moans of Despair, then you can do the ruins on Radical and get them that way. Like, see this one, I was trying to craft this one from the DLC. Fortunately now it's kind of a little bit outdated, so I don't even know if it's worth wasting the materials on it. But I finished one Radical Age of Chaos Ruins level, and that gave me 3 of them. So that's a good way to get things. Let's see some of the other Matama that I have that are pretty good. The DLC is pretty good. If you haven't already, you should pick up the DLC. This actually gives you pretty good bonuses for Mirage. And Mirage is pretty good for filling up the Destroyer bar and the Unity Destroyer bar. So if you want to pretty much escalate or speed up a battle, this is an excellent way to do it. And this guy's free right now, as far as I know. So definitely pick him up. It doesn't cost you anything. This guy I got pretty early on. This is one of the better early speed Matama. Vigor Link is pretty nice because when you combine it with these other two things, you have essentially double the energy and agility stocks. So this is worthwhile. You know, he's not the best one out there, but he's definitely really good for the beginning. EO is good as well. If you combine the Vigor Link and then Mirage, and then you have the Mirage cooldown, that actually helps quite a bit to fill up your bar. The rest of the stuff this one has is not that great, so I just put on Acrobat. But you could also put on Aegis if you want some more survivability. Yoshitsune, the first one you get, is ironically one of the better ones you can get, at least at the beginning of the game, because he has Attack Up and Fervor. So it's really good with dagger builds and stuff like that. Let's see who else I have maxed out. Jubei is pretty good as well, even if you're not running a Deceit build, because he has Verity and he has Hero's Rally. Now, I just got this one from the Ruins run that I did online, and I could tell this guy will be really great because this gives you, I believe this gives you bonus damage with the new, what is it called, the Swallow Dive or whatever it's called, the upward climb thing. I'm not sure, I'll have to test it, but I can see this being really well. I'll have to get back to you guys on that later on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show off this build, and you can modify this for pretty much anything else. It helps that all three of these Matama actually have pretty decent unique buffs for weapons. These two have ones for the sword, and she has one for the Naginata. Now another one that's good for Naginata is Sakamoto Otome. This makes it easier. She can get into hyper-skilled state. Apparently a lot of the high-level in-game Naginata users, they don't use Flurry as much as they use the Evening Star, which is the one where you hold square when you have hyper-skilled state. That's kind of like a mini-destroyer. I could see how that would work really well with this, because you would have it on more often. You'd only have to hit them a couple times, a couple of square attacks, and you'd have it back. So you could probably do some ridiculous DPS. It's one of the reasons why apparently the Naginata is not as much of a slow weapon as it was in the last game. So I'll be testing that later on. I think I'm missing one other Matama for that build, but I'll get back to you guys on that. So the best way to get a lot of Matama quickly is the Ruins, and that way you will also get a lot of the Moans of Despair, which means you'll be able to create the high rank armor easier. So I'll go ahead and I'll show off this build really quick. Let's see what's a quick one that I can do so this video's not too long. Not perfect, the Brute Claw. Also, when you play online, you get some pretty decent people to run with that you can use as bots, so that helps as well. I wish the online was not limited by wish it was not limited by the download server. It's really annoying how they do that, because it makes the game look a lot more dead than it actually is. Thankfully, there's a pretty populated Discord, and people are arranging games in there, so it hasn't been too much of a problem. So what you'll want to do is, you want to create an opening, break apart, stun them, have someone use a destroyer, and then at that point, you pop all 4 of your buffs, and then just pretty much just squeeze them in. One of the abilities is going to gradually reduce your health, but since your crit rate is so high, you're actually going to be getting all your health back and then some. They can even use this to heal in a pinch, as long as you have one. Also, notice how fast the Unity Destroyer cage is building up. You didn't even get the chance to move, pretty much. Now, obviously, that's a bit of an extreme example, because he has so many parts. and a lot of them are accessible on the ground, so you can also kind of get stuck between them. And getting stuck between the parts is not as much of a necessity as it was in the first two games. If you played Age of Demons and Kiwami, you remember that you pretty much had to be directly in the collision of a part in order to do that kind of damage. And now, they've vastly reduced that. As long as you're somewhere close to it, you don't have to bounce off another part anymore. You can still do pretty good damage as long as your positioning's good. So the knives are in a... I'd say they're in a pretty good spot right now. I'm not really at the end game. I can't do crazy solo 5-minute runs or anything, but I can see the potential here. As you can see, my stuff's not really upgraded at all. Like, I'm not running particularly good armor. The weapon's pretty decent. It's a rank 5, and the ranks only go up to 6. So I could probably get some better crit on it or something. But it works pretty well, and you can use this... You can use this build for pretty much anything as far as I'm concerned. It works decently. The problem is, since the Carnage is going to reduce your... It's going to reduce your health, you will have to have something fast. This could probably work with the Chain and Sickle as well, but you'd be missing a lot of the stuff like aerial focus. You'd probably have to alter this a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and link to the Google document in the description. It has way more information than I could possibly mention here. This is a build that's partially on their on that page, but I altered it a little bit. I'm using Lady Tomoe instead of the other one. And this works pretty well. I'll probably tweak this a little bit for other builds. Like this one goes well with Sakamoto Otome. This would be really good for the Evening Star. But like I said, I'm kind of in the process of trying to craft a better Naginata, so I haven't been using that weapon. I've been using the knives instead. The knives are pretty fun now. They have the air dash, which it seems like it gives you some invincibility frames. I'm not entirely sure on that, but I've noticed that I've been able to dodge things a little better. You will have to keep a good track of your focus, because if you run out of focus, there's not really a whole lot you can do. But you can also use your swallow dive, which has some iframes as well, and cancel into the dash. So I'll probably be coming up with another knife build later on, but I thought I'd give some information on how to gear up a little faster. The Moan of Despair drop is going to be the biggest hurdle in terms of like upgrading your gear, because for some reason like a huge chunk of the best armor requires it, and the drop rate for it is really low. So I found that if you do the ruins, that it will drop pretty consistently, if not every time. I only did it once, so I can't tell or confirm or deny if it drops all the time. But that's a good way to start off, because you'll get a bunch of unique parts from the Oni, and you'll also get a bunch of rewards from the end. So you can go there. It'd probably be a little difficult with bots. If you can get some players, that would be ideal, but the bots are pretty competent in this game. I don't know what their damage deficit is compared to a human, but they work pretty well. I brought a healing one with me, and it kept me pretty healed for most of it. You know, I got knocked out a couple times because my armor is still not the greatest, and I haven't really upgraded it, but it was relatively simple to go through it. So he only had one other human person with me. It worked pretty well. Anyway, I hope this helps. I have a bunch of mic muted stuff that I was going to upload, but I decided to put this up first because I don't know how many other people are really compiling this information and stuff. The Google document is an excellent resource. Hopefully, when I get more of the Matama and I get them upgraded and stuff, and I get some decent gear, I can put some videos out for them that they can link there. Maybe that'll help people make a good decision for what they want to spec in. Anyway, hope this helps. Peace.